Hey, everybody, welcome to the class. This week we're talking about, going all in
Hmm.
life, diving into life, right? And so this is really a topic of commitment. We like to start each class with a joke, but the problem is we had too many this week. We just could not commit to one. So no joke, but we are here. We're here every week. My name is Dr. Asatar Bear. My co-teacher here, Leah Schaefer. And
Hello.
we're here to teach and practice heart rhythm meditation with you, method of meditation that comes out of Sufism, and one that's been really helpful to us, and we love to share it with you. And
Yeah.
we'd like to talk a little bit about some theme or another, just to try to, motivate you, inspire you. Meditation should be good for something, right? So that's what.
Right. And also just to rein us in. We got to like rein it in a little bit.
Yeah, we need a focus. Otherwise, we'd. So
But yeah, for you though.
yeah,
No,
it's for
we
you
we
guys.
actually the thing is that you can meditation is basically a superpower. And so there's a lot of research to back that up. And so you can use it for many, many different things. And that's the nice thing about heart rhythm meditation is it's very diversified. We both, Asatar and I both know hundreds of different practices, and we know hundreds of practices that can be applied specifically to whatever it is you need. And so in the future, if there's anything you want us to cover, just let us know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We that helps us because we scramble around searching for topics every single week. Not that we're going to give you a behind the scenes, how we make the show. No, not at all.
Don't don't show them how the sausage is made.
Never. Um,
Mm.
so we were excited by this topic, right? Because there's so many things where, if you kind of dilly dally around or you dip a toe in or whatever, you just get very mediocre results. But if you just say, no, I am going all in right now, right?
Yeah.
Well, that takes things to a very different level. And that's true of meditation. That's true of everything, Um, now, we did not want to use the word commitment, in,
Yes.
in our show because it seems so negative, when you say commitment. Oh my God, what? I don't want to do that, right? Like, and there is something to that because a commitment is you binding yourself to something, right, or to someone,
Mhm.
right? Depending on what the what is the nature of the commitment, and why would you do that, right? Life's about freedom, isn't it? Um,
Mm.
well, you do it because it takes things to a different level, right?
Mhm. Yeah, and it also ends up leading toward more freedom. Anytime you commit to something, you're basically creating a secure base for yourself on what you're doing, as well as a drive toward what you want. So
Yeah.
it ultimately will help you thrive toward having more freedom.
It's
So,
like a token
yeah.
of your freedom, or it's like a gesture of your freedom, right? Because you're like, I'm choosing
Yeah.
to bind myself to something, right? you know, it,
Yeah.
if you're bound to it by something else, that's not what we're talking about, right? Like there's lots of things that we're bound to by circumstance or whatever, right? Like we're talking about when you decide to commit to something, right? That's where the power comes in, right? Not when the circumstance chooses or somebody else chooses for you or whatever. That
Mhm.
doesn't really give you anything. It's like I'm
Right.
deciding to really focus on this, right? And I'm going to make this work, right? Come hell or high water.
Mhm.
Okay, now we're talking, right? That's different, right? You're in the water now fully. So you sink or swim, right? And that means you're going to be a lot more motivated.
You're making it a little scarier all of a sudden.
Oh my God, it's terrifying. What the hell?
No, okay, so I have this funny joke. Okay, so I was the other day at my brother's house and I was with my niece and I was coloring on a coloring book and my niece just comes over to me and she just whispers in my ear. She goes, "Sink or swim."
No
I
content.
was just like, no content, like just like out of the blue. And I was like, universe, universe, are you talking to me
Yeah, right?
through
Through the
this
voice of a
child?
child.
Yeah. And
That's
I was just,
classic universe right there, isn't it?
it was the funniest thing though. I just could she's 8, you know what I mean? Like, it was just hilarious, but and then I really thought about it. I was like, "She's right."
She's right. That's the thing.
She's
You're
right.
like, damn it, she's right. You know, once
Better
you're
start
in,
swimming.
if you put your toe in, you don't face with that choice, right? Sink or swim, because it's just your toe
Right,
after all, right? But
right.
if you dove in, well, now it's time to either make it work or fail completely, right? Well,
Yeah, and it's kind of like you when you immerse yourself into something, when you commit to something, you are, learning to swim, so it, like, becomes an experience, do you know what I mean? So it's not so much about, like, pass or fail, you know, which that kinda can, like, lead into. It's more about this experience of, like, learning how to swim, you know,
yeah,
in this new body of water that you've jumped yourself into.
yeah,
Or maybe it's one you've been in for a long time and, like, you're recommitting yourself. You're learning how to swim where you are now, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to do a lot of tests for myself. I've been meditating for a long time, right? For, I don't know, like on a daily basis, maybe like 33 years or something like that. Um, I started when I was young.
Damn.
So, but I used to give myself all these tests to do, right? Like, because I was like,
Mm,
well, can I sit for half an hour, let's say, right? Can I do that? Or can I sit for an hour or 2 hours? Or can I sit perfectly still? You know? Um,
mhm.
and, it's like when you set yourself a challenge like this, well, now you've committed to it, right? Like, okay, well, if I'm going to sit for an hour, I'm going to set a timer, right? and and then it's like it shifts the experience, right? Because if you're just kind of playing around with meditation or whatever, which is, by the way, perfectly fine. If y'all are playing
Mhm.
around with meditation, we celebrate that, we support you
Yes.
100%. All we're saying is it's different, right? It's different if you
Mhm.
play around with something, which is that's good, right? Because that's how you learn
Yeah.
about it, you start that way.
Yeah.
But like I passed through that stage a long time ago, right? So and then I was like, well, let me see what I can do with this, right? And part of it for me was testing myself,
Mhm.
and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna set a timer and I'm gonna get through this hour, like, and am I expecting it to be unicorns and rainbows and firecrackers going off in my head the whole time? No, not at all,
Yes.
right? I mean, maybe it's like that some of the time, right? And things you pass through different stages, right? Like, okay, maybe you get some very wonderful blissed out moments in meditation, but you also get some very challenging moments, right? And you're like, I'm just going to endure this for an hour, right? Whether it's good or bad, whether I'm bored, whether I'm in ecstasy, right? Whatever it is. And then that's a very different experience, right? That is,
Mhm.
I dare say, it's an experience worth having.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll tell one other story like this. Okay, I had
Okay.
my adventures in meditation.
It's a serious commitment. It's not like we grow up with this, you know? Which is
Yeah,
why we're
right. I
so happy
mean,
you're here with us.
you
Yeah.
find your own path.
Yeah.
So I was on a retreat once, and I was it was near the beach, and so I wanted to go and like meditate on the beach, but the beach, there's people there or whatever. So I chose like a little forest that was kind of like near there, and so I sat down and I like okay, I'm on retreat, I'm gonna meditate here. The problem with this particular beach and this particular little forest near it is it just was full of mosquitoes, like
Oh,
absolutely like full of mosquitoes, like
classic.
tons of them, right?
This is a classic meditation story, yeah.
Yeah, but I was like, well, I'm here and I'm gonna do this anyway, so it's like
Yeah.
I set my timer, and now I'm like, and the mosquitoes are just going to bite me. They're gonna suck my blood, and I'm just gonna deal with it, right?
Mhm.
um, and it's gonna be part of it, right? Because that's part of the teaching here, right? Like all the experiences that happen in meditation, that's part of the totality, right? We're here to experience unity. um, Anyway, I
Mhm.
got a lot of bug bites, but it wasn't. It's like it's bad in the moment, but when you said, what, I'm not going to be doing this, right? I'm going to be sitting still.
Right.
It just takes it to a different place. And I'm not going to say your commitment there, my commitment, wasn't tested. Of course it was, right? I did,
Right.
I experienced that, like, okay, now I'm feeling the blood getting sucked right now, right? That's a certain, you know, um, I'm very mindfully, right? Feel the, and this is not, maybe this is a bad story. I don't know, right? Like, I'm
No,
not,
no. Well, it strengthens your will. Like,
yeah,
so something like that shows you your power because
yeah,
you are like, regardless of the circumstance, I'm going to do what I set out to do. I'm going all in, right? Like, and that when
exactly.
you do that and you show that to yourself, you strengthen your actual willpower. And I feel like the willpower is one of the greatest powers we have, this
Yep.
choice to be alive, this choice to jump in, this choice to jump into a new experience or a new role, whatever it is, like that's powerful. And so these practices, even though they're like he was on retreat, like he was actually a little bit separate from most of, the day-to-day life, because he was on retreat. But even so, it's like, that practice, like on your mat or when you're a runner or whatever your practice might be or on retreat, right? Whatever your practices are, like those are practices to help you have that strengthened will outside of that situation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Right. We're
Yeah.
practicing for life.
Yeah. Yeah. It empowers us. So,
Yeah.
um, all right. Well, and so we're 11 minutes in. Gonna jump into the meditation in a minute. Yeah, actually, let's just jump in now, right, Asatar?
Make sure you let some mosquitoes into your room wherever you are.
Do not make it harder for yourself. If you've made it to the show and you're here with us, then
That's good.
get
Yep.
get ready to party. Okay. Go ahead and take your seat as you are ready. And so it's important because it's like distinguishing inside yourself, what are you actually committing to in this moment? What are you diving into? What are you choosing? And you can think about that in a lot of different frameworks. So, one is like your personal journey. So, go ahead, deepen your breathing, start working on deepening your breath. And that means bringing your breath all the way to the depth of your torso on your inhalation, like water filling up the glass, like really coming in toward the deeper part of your body, letting your belly expand if you like to help you expand your diaphragm. And then as you exhale, most of the exhalation is natural, and you can really have a commitment in this moment to finishing your exhalation by squeezing your abdomen in and seeing how much breath do you actually have left in there. And it's probably more than you thought. So, really committing to finishing your exhalation in this moment, trusting that another breath is going to come right in. And as soon as that does, you send the inspiration to the depths of your being. You send the inhalation all the way to the base of your spine, filling yourself up with new life. And keep working this inhalation and exhalation, making them more full, deep, and complete with every breath cycle that you take. There are things in your life right now that you feel either like you want to commit to, something that you want to dive into, something you want to go all in with, that you really want. to experience, to become. So feeling those in your heart, feeling that pull inside of you, deep in your heart, as you breathe deeply, full breath. What do you want? Essentially, it comes back again like this desire, right? But what does your heart want? The depth of your being, the core of your own, center of yourself. What do you want in that space? And you might not have a whole blueprint. Maybe you have an entire plan, but maybe you just have a feeling. You're not quite sure what it looks like yet, but you feel it inside of you. You feel something pulling you. And I just want you to tune in with that. I want you to tune in with the depth of your heart and the depth of your desire to experience and become. And as you just tune in with that, I imagine that it's going to be really charged. There's going to be a lot of energy, a lot of passion there. And that's why you want to breathe deep, full breath while you tune in with this part of your being. And let yourself, as you breathe, anchor deeper and deeper and deeper into the center of yourself. And especially this part of you that deep part of your heart, almost like the part of your heart that has almost a constant ache, a constant longing, that it comes right up to the pit of your stomach, this deep longing inside of your heart. And that pit of your stomach, that's where the willpower is. That is the solar plexus energy right there. And so I just want you to find that, feel that. And go deeper and deeper and deeper into the anchoring of that space, the gravity of that place inside of you. For some of us, we know exactly what we want, we know what we're committed to, and it's more a matter of like recommitting. But recommitting, if you do it with your head, it might not work so well. So you want to really find the essence, and that's in the depth of your heart. Finding the essence of why you started what you are already committed to. And for others of us, we are a little bit lost or we're afraid to commit, right? So it might be that you're someone that you don't know which way to go, you don't know what you want, or you know what you want and you're terrified of it. And that's a good sign, I think. Follow your blisters, right? You want to follow the thing that you have high passion for. You want to follow that which your heart feels pulled toward. And so if you're in that camp, if you're in the camp where you have ambivalence, you're not sure, I want to give you permission in this moment of time to allow the depths of your heart to have a wish, to have a wanting. And with your next breath, dropping all sense of if you're good enough or not, regardless if you're in the middle of your commitment path or if you're at the beginning. With your next breath, dropping every sense of am I good enough, am I not good enough, all of that doubt, all of that fear, letting it almost just fall right off of you, off of your being as you breathe. Because it's not a part of it at all, really. A seed never asks if it's good enough to become a tree. So that seed in your heart, in the depths of your being, that desire to bloom, that desire to give fruit, to share, and to become. Feel inside of yourself, this is the water that I want to dive into. This is what excites me. Feel that excitement. This is the moment that I want to learn how to swim. And if you know, you're like, this is what I want, I know what I want, take a moment right now and just feel in the depth of your heart, in the pit of your stomach, feel your commitment to that thing, to that becoming, to that experience of life. And with your next exhalation, as soon as you catch that excitement and that feeling of your commitment of what you want, like, I want this, I want to dive in, I want it. Anchor that down into your root center. So on your next exhalation, exhale your breath as energy from the depth of your heart all the way down your spine and into your roots, into your root chakra. So your tailbone, your legs, your feet. And on your next inhalation, on your next inhalation, find that feeling, that passion, that energy, that excitement. And then as you exhale, anchor it all the way down into your root, into existence, into the root of your being, into this earth quality, this solidity, this ground, this secure base. Inhaling into that desire of what you really want. Feeling your commitment, and then exhale, anchoring all that energy down into your root center, into your tailbone, your legs, your feet. And using as much breath as needed. Big, full breathing. Sometimes you have to open that whole channel up. So don't give up even in this moment, right? In this moment, be like, yeah, I can anchor that into the depth, into the root. I can do that with my breath. And then it becomes this discovery process of how, right? To work with your body and experiment with your fullness of breath and experiment with your attention to see if you can really feel the depth of your heart, the longing, the desire, the excitement to jump in that water, and anchoring that feeling of commitment toward what you want down into your root. It's almost like burying the seed deep into the soil of your being. Knowing that it will grow, knowing that it will bloom. With your next inhalation, go ahead and just let go of this focus and concentration. Moving your body as much as you need to, and maybe placing your hands on your heart and just taking a moment of deep reverence and honor for all that you have already learned, all that you have already become, and all that you are still thirsty and hungry for. All right, and then as you're ready, moving your body and opening up your eyes.
Nice meditation, Leah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Asata.
Well, look, we have a nice comment here from my friend
You made
Noli.
it.
Nice to see you, sweetheart. Glad you made it.
Noli, nice that you came. Thank you.
It's like there's something here that holds and contains the energy, and also something that moves you forward, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's hard to move forward unless you have that container that holds the energy, right? Because
Yes.
moving forward is hard, right? I mean, it's that's it takes a lot of energy, um, and you need that kind of strength, I mean, I'm just commenting on kind of on the energy here, like the energy that I
No,
feel
that's
because we're, you
big
know,
time. Yeah,
yeah.
big time. Yeah.
Mm. It's funny because here we are saying all these words, right? And to try to describe something, to describe a feeling, a state, a a way of being, a way of identifying yourself, or what is the universe, what is the relationship between the self and the larger reality, right?
Yeah.
um, and words don't really convey it, right? Like, I mean, um, we could say all the prettiest words, and I think we do, we say some pretty words. Let's give ourselves that.
When we're not cussing or
Yeah, but it
anyway.
still doesn't really capture it, does it? Right? I mean, like, the best you can do is sort of point to it. Um, anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I'm feeling in this moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the we like we hope that it resonates, right? But ultimately, like that is the thing, is like you want to have the full experience in yourself.
Yeah,
What one of the things I did find in contemplating this topic was, it's like there is like so much more security and commitment, like a commit when you're like, this is what I'm committing to, this is what I want, I'm doing it, this is it, right? You
yeah,
actually do create more of a secure holding base from that. And with a secure base, you're able to move forward and with that drive, that desire, that pull,
yeah.
in a way that is going to allow you to thrive. So,
Now, another thing that struck my kind of consciousness I was sitting in this is, we are extolling the virtues and the benefits of committing, right? Does that mean you should always commit? Like, how do you decide, right? What do you commit on, right? What do you commit to? Because it's like we're saying, okay, dive in, but is it the right pool to dive into, right? Like, is that right? And how do you know? There's a lot of pools out there you could dive into, right? So I think there's a part of, we're reluctant to do it, and part of it is we're like, okay, is this the right thing for me? And um, I think it's kind of like, if you're asking that question, then you keep asking the question, right? Like, don't dive in until you feel like the answer is yes, right?
yeah.
Um, you know, because you want to respect commitment, right? Like, if you make a commitment, of course, sometimes we break commitments, right? I mean, that happens. But you don't want to do that, right? You don't want to commit to something with the thought that you're going to break it, because it doesn't respect, your it doesn't respect commitment. It doesn't respect um, your word, right? Like, you say
Yeah.
you're going to do something, right? You should do it. And again, there's always exceptions to that. We're not judging. Like, we've all broken commitments. People, like, come on, let's be honest. If you haven't lived very long. So that happens. But there's a part of the reluctance which is just lack of confidence. And
Yeah.
because you say, like, oh, I don't know. Well, should I dive in? I'm afraid. What if I can't make it work? Right? What if I sink?
Mhm.
And that's the part. We want to differentiate, right, between like, is this the thing my heart is longing for? Well, if it's not, then don't dive into it, right? But
Right.
if you don't have the confidence, well, that's something to work on, right? Because,
Yeah, and
you
I
know,
think those wires get crossed a lot. Like, I think, like,
yeah,
if I want it or not versus, like, do I just not feel like I'm good enough for it? Those wires get crossed all the time.
totally.
Yeah.
And this is a place where meditation can be really helpful, right? Because,
Mhm.
you can just go within yourself, go within your heart, right? Because that is where your truth is on this, right? Um, is it just fear? Is it lack of confidence? Is it anxiety, right? Is it that? Or is it, maybe this isn't right for me,
Mhm.
Um, so
Yeah, and so listen to your heart. Like, essentially, your
yeah,
heart is going to tell you. Your heart is so powerful, and it will tell you if you tune into it what it wants or needs. Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, that's what I thought of, I mean, and
Yeah.
also that, um, we make commitments and sometimes we break them. Sometimes that happens, um, but we want to respect it also just on an energetic level because it does have power, and like things that have power, you want to respect them.
Right, and it also, sorry, go ahead.
No, just like if you make a commitment and then you know you're going to break it or whatever, that you don't get the benefit of it, right? You don't get that, like, time to make it work. You know, yeah, it's like the famous story, right, of the army that comes and they've traveled a long way in their ships and whatever, and then their commander burns the ships, right? So it's
Right.
like, you got to win here, right? There's not, well, I'm just burned your exit route. That's okay. Well, we got to fight. Well,
Yeah. Well, okay, so something I think about, a little bit of a sidestep, but because it's like, um the something you feel deep in your heart that you know you want, okay? Um it might not look anything like you thought it would, and most likely it won't. You can't, life is not that predictable. I mean, somewhat, but not really.
yeah,
And so it's just, but the essence of what you're doing is always going to hold true, okay? And so, like, in a very kind of easy example is like a yoga practice where it's like, there's a difference between my commitment to the practice versus my commitment to a posture. Okay, so, like, when I get on my mat, if I'm not feeling well, which happened to me for several years, right?
hmm,
I'm not going to be able to do a lot of postures, and I'm
right,
not going to be able to exert myself. But my commitment to my practice, because I know for me, yoga is medicine, and so, like, yoga asana, and so, like, it's more about the commitment to the practice, and it's not so much about the commitment to attaining the posture.
yeah,
And every time I get on the mat, I don't have control over how my body's going to feel. My body's going to feel completely different every day. And so I just kind of want to say that in the sense of, like, um, deep in your heart what it is that you want. And so follow that. And then it might not look what you thought, but just go back in, check in, and reevaluate.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good advice. We get so attached to, like, the results, right? And
Yeah.
it's often very important to just stay with the process, right? The
Yeah.
process will eventually lead to results, but, again, we want to, like, not hold that so tightly, like, okay, we go out
Hmm.
there and hit a home run every single time or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And the same thing with meditation, right? Like, we're not holding some idea in our heads of, like, what is going to happen internally when we sit down, right? We're not expecting every time to be some kind of paradise or whatever, right? Like, that's not realistic, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and meditation, it's like we want to embrace the totality of the experience, right? Whether it's good or what we might say bad, right? Or anything in between.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, comfortable, uncomfortable.
Right. Exactly.
Both of those things are going to happen, right?
Right. Yeah. Mm.
Well, let's do another meditation then. Anything else?
Yeah.
Do you have something else to say? Or
I just want to say like that, because I feel like with these topics, with the topic of commitment, it's like sometimes it's really just committing to life, like being like, I'm alive and I'm a human and I'm going to express myself. You know, like this is me. Hi.
Right.
And so sometimes it's like a commitment to life. You might not look, I don't look like that every day, don't worry. But it also can be very much like a commitment to your feeling of purpose, or it can be a commitment to your ideal relationship circumstance, or it can be a commitment to your health goals, or it can be a commitment to your experiences with connecting to universal life through meditation. Um, whatever it might be, it's not going to ever look like what you think it will. And so just like keep on keeping on, like keep that essence of why you're doing what you
Right.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing of it, right? Like things are rarely turn out like we think or like we expect, right? Or
Mhm.
and this is one of the things that happens, and whenever you dive into anything, whenever you say I'm all in, well, then the doubts start up, right? Then the then the testing begins, and where you say, have I just made a huge mistake, right? I mean, that is a natural, unavoidable part of the process. And part of it is because it doesn't look like what you thought or what you expected, right? There's a
Mhm.
conflict between the expectations. And we try not to have them. We try to say, "Oh, I'm going in with no expectations." Bullshit, right? Like we all have expectations. You're gonna have some of them, you know.
My my future way of, anyway.
And then you have to deal with the conflict between that, right? What you thought it would be like and what it is like. But that's an important moment to have, right? That's an important experience to have. That's very much part of it. Because any idea that you have, any direction that you want to go in, you're going to have that conflict is going to come up, right? Now, here's what I was aiming for. Here's what I was hoping would happen. Here's the reality. Right? If we didn't, I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be able to do anything, right? If we got stopped by that. So, um, all right. Well, let's
Mm.
do enough talk. Let's talk and meditate instead. So, um, take your good upright meditation posture,
Mm.
and you want to tune into your breath, just as Leah was guiding us through before. Bring your breath down deep into your body, deep into your belly. As you breathe in, allow your belly to expand. And then just keep that breath going and expand your ribs as well, your intercostal muscles, your chest. Bring the breath into your chest as well. So we're starting in the belly, but then continuing to fill the lungs. And a lot of the action is going to happen in the belly, but we want to bring it up as well and really develop the breath, make the breath big and full and powerful. We want to make the breath slow so that our bodies have time to absorb all of the energy of the breath. And also so that we have time to understand and feel the energy of the breath. Breath is life, breath is energy. We want to study the flow of that energy, learn from it. Learn from it where we are now, and learn from it where are we longing to go? How can we take that energy and direct it towards what we're longing for? Maybe it's a certain kind of healing that we're looking for, or a wholeness that we felt eluded us, or maybe it's a goal that we want to attain. Maybe it's a feeling of connection. Whatever it is, right? You think of that longing, you feel that longing, and you connect your breath to it. Or you just imagine, right? Feel this as you breathe. Your breath is giving you the energy to move toward your longing. As you breathe in, that longing is drawn to your heart, to you. As you breathe out, you give yourself the resources, you give yourself the power to move toward that longing, whatever it is. So we are connecting the breath and the heart here, making the breath deep and full and powerful. Now, if we can, we want to also make the breath rhythmic and keep it heart-centered, keep it focused on the desire, the longing that's in our hearts. So if you can now tune into your heartbeat, just listen for that, see if you can feel it. Many people can, and many people can't as well, but so see what you feel there. Do you feel your heart beating? If you do feel it, then bring it into rhythm with your breath, so you have the same number of beats on the inhalation as you do on the exhalation. Maybe that's 8 beats in, 8 beats out, for example. Now, if you're not feeling your heartbeat, you could take your hand and place it on your chest. That might help. You could take your fingertips and press it against your breastbone. That might give you a sense of your heartbeat in your fingertip. You might feel it as your pulse. If none of that works, just imagine it. Just count to yourself in your mind at about the rate that you think your heart might be beating. My guess is you'll be pretty close. And you'll be working on making your breath rhythmic. That gives your breath extra power. It is the rhythm of life, that even rhythm. Very powerful. You know, when we walk, we take a step with the right, we take a step with the left, right? It's difficult. It's more difficult if those steps aren't the same length. If you don't have a good rhythm to your steps, that makes it more difficult, doesn't it? The rhythm of your breath creates a rhythm to your thoughts and even a rhythm to your feelings. And the power of your breath gives your heart tremendous energy. Now use that energy to go within and just ask yourself the question, what am I committing to? Maybe you've already committed to something, and just feel that commitment. Feel the way that you've put yourself all in. And just appreciate that. That's a tremendously powerful thing that you did. Or maybe you're thinking about it and you're pondering this question we asked before, right? Is this right for me? Is this the pool that I'm choosing to dive into? That's a very good question to ask your heart. To put that question on your breath. To, as you exhale, to say, ask that question, cast it toward your heart, like you're casting a line. And as you breathe in, you open yourself to the answer, whatever it may be. Maybe it comes in words. Maybe it comes in images. Maybe it comes in a feeling. Maybe it comes in a memory. We want to be aware to all of this. The heart doesn't necessarily speak in words. Sometimes you get a word and that's nice. The heart speaks in feeling. and then your mind puzzles to interpret it, right? But a lot of times feeling speaks to feeling. You get a feeling and that's the answer. Sometimes we need to sit with that for it to become clear. Use your breath to energize your heart. Deep, slow, rhythmic, heart-centered, full breathing. Squeeze your abdominal muscles on the exhalation. Squeeze out all of the breath. Empty yourself. Control the breath on the inhalation. Expand your belly. Expand your chest. Take a much bigger breath than you normally take. But at the same time, it's slow. At the same time, it's controlled. Builds inner power with each breath. As you breathe in, you're filling the container of your heart with breath, with energy, with light, with love. For this is what the breath is. And as you breathe out, you're moving that energy forward, moving yourself forward toward whatever it is you're longing for. Shining the light of your heart, pouring the love from your heart out into the larger life beyond. And perhaps beginning to notice that we are not separate from that life. That life is us, and we are that life. Because the nature of life is one. You may find that the deeper you go with the breath, with the rhythm of the breath, with this practice, with the absorption into this vibe, that your heart actually contains all that there is. That all things and all beings are within your heart. And if you get to this state, you'll find this is a wonderful antidote to that feeling of anxiety, a lack of confidence, not being sure, can I do this, right? All of the doubts, we all have those. But when you feel that immense power of your heart, well, those doubts and fears just do not seem as important, right? They're not the dominant note anymore. It's a note in the symphony, that's perhaps that'll never go away, but there's a lot of other good notes going on here. There's a lot of other music. And when you're ready, begin to come out of your meditation and open your eyes and move your body.
That was wonderful. I could just float instead of sinking or swimming. Sorry. Oh my gosh, that was really, truly wonderful. Thank you, Asita.
That's good meditation, yeah. good vibe
It
going.
was such it was such a great reminder too, like when you said like how the energy comes towards us, right? Like I can get so in my head and just think it's all on my shoulders, it's all on me. But that's not how it works at all. Like it really
Right.
like the universe does come toward you and it also supports you from behind. It's like kind of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to be reminded of this every day, right? I mean, we all forget, right? And
Mm,
even like maybe you've had, a lot of these extraordinary experiences. I certainly have, I mean, like this is what keeps me in the game. I've had some
mm,
incredible experiences in meditation, but it's like anything, if you don't have that reminder, you
mm,
forget, and you sort of
mm,
revert to your normal, maybe low energy kind of state, right? So, you know, meditation's a process, right? It's a process of remembering um, who we really are. What is really the nature of reality,
mm, mm.
Well,
And yeah, and I feel like that remembrance of who we really are, in a lot of ways, is kind of like the original commitment in a way. It's kind of like
yeah,
it's this anchoring to your truest self, and then it's almost like a commitment to your truest self in whichever direction that goes, whichever direction that takes you. So,
yeah.
mm,
There's a lot here, right? There's a lot to this. What does it mean to like really go all in, right? There's a
mm,
lot to that. So, you know,
yeah,
yeah. Oh, we have another comment here.
great.
The universe is my shepherd.
Oh my God.
Wonder.
That's beautiful. Thank
Yeah.
you for contributing that.
Nice to see you
Oh,
here. Thanks for joining us.
I love that.
Mhm. It's like we're here to express our freedom, right? But how do we do that, right? Um,
Right.
because we also have our longing, and longing binds us, just like like you go all in for something, right? And what makes you go all in, right? What do you choose to bind yourself to, right? Um,
Yeah.
universe of freedom, you know. Why bind yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You go deeper.
Yeah. Yeah. And and I feel like there's also like this, like you can very much also commit just to your actual self, you know what I mean? As a beginning point. Like I'm gonna commit to myself. I don't know what I need yet, but I'm gonna be here.
Right. That can be a very
Right?
powerful
You
one, right?
know?
Because some of us
Yeah.
have a pattern of, or a habit, or a, response to trauma or whatever of neglecting
Mm,
ourselves, right? And putting
yeah.
ourselves last,
Yeah.
and
I mean, not anymore, but yeah.
yeah.
In the past. Yeah,
Before you attained
yeah.
perfection, like
Yeah, God.
I do it too. I'm going to be honest, right? I mean, I'm not calling you out. I
Oh
was
man,
talking about
no, it's
myself.
like honestly, like my freedom comes from like this because the perfectionism creates so much of this burden on me, and like and so my freedom comes from like this realization of like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter if I'm enough or not enough. Like
Yeah.
it's like that example earlier with the whole like the seed never questions if it's supposed to become a tree, but it does need ground. It does need
Yeah.
ground,
That
and
was a
so
beautiful metaphor, by the way. Yeah.
thank you. But it helps me so much because of the perfectionism creates like so much fear of failure, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like that actually doesn't even freaking matter. Like as soon as you realize like just kind of the core of what you're really doing. So,
Yeah. Absolutely.
mm,
Well, with that, we're drawing our show to a close for this evening. Thank you all so much for joining us and diving into
thank you,
life with
everyone.
us. I hope it was helpful.
Thank you so, so much, everyone, for joining us this evening.
If you want to
It's
support the
such
show,
an
we have a
honor.
we
So,
have a link to the Patreon in the description, and of course we're here every week. We love to receive your questions and comments, so please drop us one if you have one or something you'd like to see us talk about. We will do our best to do that.
and good luck with whatever path you are currently on and committed to. Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
everyone.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night.